Hey guys, this is a post that I wanted to make yesterday. It is about my mom. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about her. I've talked about her before. Um, my mother taught me to cook. The very first thing I ever cooked with her was something called American chop suey. What it is fried scrambled hamburger with onions, peppers, and celery fried up in it. You should probably put salt and pepper in it. And some kind of spaghetti sauce. Whether it's a jar of spaghetti sauce or it's, a can of diced tomatoes and a can of tomato soup, whatever it might be, or a can of tomato sauce and a can of diced tomatoes or whatever. And you cook up elbow macaroni, drain the elbow macaroni, mix the two together. Supposedly here in New England, it's a lunchroom. It was created in lunchrooms here in New England, but I don't know. I didn't have it that many times in the lunchroom, and I gotta tell you, what I did have in the lunchroom was utterly flavorless. They couldn't compete with my mother's chop suey. We did that in the electric frying pan. Pull a chair up to the counter and I'd kneel up. And I've told you many times that when we would bake, we would kneel up or stand on the chair and stir with my grandmother's wooden spoon. And I've told you many times that when we would bake, my responsibility was to take a sandwich baggie and grease the baking dishes, whatever they may be. And now, today I use a sandwich baggie that has a zipper tie, like a, you know. Back then, those weren't as common. I mean, you can still find lunch bags today that fold. You know what I'm talking about? Sandwich bags that fold around the sandwich. That's what we always used for my lunch, for Daddy's lunch. So we always had them. So you take one, you put it on your hand, and you do the pan. And that was so much fun to work with my mom, you know. And to her, it was teaching me. That's raw. Ow. Anyway, it was teaching math to bake, you know. You know, and she felt it was a way to teach a kid math that they didn't know they were learning math, you know. And she's so right. I learned more about fractions when it came to baking. I personally think that's the way it should be taught. Hangnail. Sorry, I got a hangnail. Because I think kids respond to it better that way. So as far as I'm looking over here at the end of the video. And thinking about the fact my mother didn't really like dough cases. But there were some that were very important to her. The Christmas tree lady, I know how happy she'd be that she got her name back. We're so close on Mary Anderson. Or Mary Andrews. The Jane Doe from the Vintage Park Hotel. I did a whole video on her over on the other channel. I'll try to remember to link it. I'm terrible at remembering to do things like that. I don't know why. I'm just terrible at it. My mother was, in spite of the way she felt about it, a good mother. I am here living on my own, never having done it before, and doing it fairly successfully. Ay, ay, ay. My hair's a mess. And I parted it today, I promise. Ugh. Actually, I think it still is parted. It's just hard to tell from here. Anyway. Because of the skills that she gave me and that she taught me before she died, her goal was to make it so I could live on my own. And she did. She achieved her goal. And I'm so proud of both of us for that. I mean, she would be, and probably is, so happy for me. Doing what I do at the Historical Society, because she and I talked about, there we go, doing something like that, you know, research. And the fact that I've been given that opportunity is amazing. That was my 8. I just have horrible arthritis. Anyway, I was thinking today I don't want to be my mom, and I don't. And I'm sitting here on a damn walker, but I don't have a choice. My food is in the oven. I keep looking down at my timer. Here it is. If I could, right there. You can't see it. I mean, you can't see the times on it, but it's there. Excuse me. At any rate, oh, I can hold it up like that. Yeah, now you can see. You can't see the numbers, but you can see that there's a timer. As I'm having chicken Alfredo with broccoli. But I use angel hair instead of fettuccine. Like I said, my mother would be very proud. I had one minor financial mishap this month, which everybody says happens to everybody at one time or another. I did not account for an automatic withdrawal. Because I didn't think it was coming out of that particular account. And it came out exactly the same time as my cable bill, and yeah, it was paths I didn't necessarily want crossing. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. That was my dermatology appointment. It has been made. So, it makes me so nervous to go all the way to Worcester by myself, but I have to do it. And once I do it, I'll prove to myself I can do it. So, and my mom will be proud. I was for a reason earlier. I'm finally comfortable. I've always felt bad that my mother never felt like she was worth anything, never felt lovable, and it just wasn't true, but she couldn't see it. Excuse me. The greatest gift in her life was me. And I don't say that because I'm me. I say that because she has said that. Becoming a mother. And she wouldn't have wanted any other person to be that child. You know, she made that very clear to me on multiple occasions. And as I was saying about, I have tried to, I've started doing adult cases because of her. And because I do have a lot that are fascinating to me. And I have tried to start with the cases, the missing adult cases that she was invested in, you know. And that brings me closer to her in a way, to be able to do that for her. I hope she's up there knowing how much she's loved down here. You know, Stephanie reminds me a lot of her in a lot of different ways. And I've told Stephanie that, you know. And like I said, this is just another step in growing and in being on my own, you know, going into the city by myself, essentially. I worry about getting left. You know what I mean? I have abandonment issues. Don't know why. I just do. Probably stems from a lot of places, but something I've never gotten over something I've never overcome. So I just want you to know my mom like I did. She was a special woman. She was very smart. She could put anything together, fix just about anything. I mean, if somebody in the neighborhood needed a VCR fixed, or somebody in the neighborhood needed a TV fixed, or somebody, it was mom. Everybody in the neighborhood got their taxes done by mom. You know, that's what she did. She was a very strong woman. She spoke up. You know, my father picked up his car, his brand new 1987 Ford Escort GL. Brought it home with a giant hole in the dashboard, and my mother said, "What is that?" And he said, "I guess the radio didn't come." She said, "Where's my radio?" He said, "I guess it didn't come with it." "You didn't ask?" You know, and she would have pitched a fit. "Where's my damn radio? Put it back in the car. Not leaving this lot without it." You know, that's the way she was. Her issue was she didn't defend herself the same way that she defended her family. You know, either one of us, she'd have killed or died for. She couldn't do it for herself. I was that way for both of my parents. They called me a pit bull. And I was. I'm still that way for my family. My Aunt Edith was recently stolen from. That pit bull in me came right out. Because you just don't do that. Oh my God, my hair's a disaster. Oh, I don't know why it's a disaster. It's not like I put a hat on. Oh boy, it was once parted today, honestly. Oh my gosh in heaven. Anyway, I'm going to attempt to take a bath today. And I think today will be a good day for it because it's not too hot out. So I want to make another video after this one. I'm going to call this one "I Love You, Mom." And my mother was also very talented. She made needlepoint, like cross stitch. She did absolutely beautiful diamond painting. She says I was better at it than her. She did beautiful crochet. She crocheted complete Cabbage Patch dolls. And then she put the licensed Cabbage Patch heads on them, and it had a special zip tie that went around a groove in the neck and attached it to the crocheted body. I mean, she could sew anything. She made me beautiful clothes. I remember I picked out a fabric, and she made me these pants out of this fabric. It had like a black background, and it had red roses on it. It was really pretty. And she made me a miniskirt in the same fabric. And it was just cool. And beautiful. You would never know these were homemade just by looking at me walking around in them, because they were perfect. That was my mother. And I'm trying to sew. I need to get some fabric. My mother would play Mario Brothers. She was awesome at it. She would play, she was the best at Tetris. She was the best at Dr. Mario, which is similar to Tetris, except you got Mario dressed up in a lab coat with one of those Dr. headlights with the metal thing around it to reflect it, the metal reflector. And he was throwing pills at you out of a bottle, and you were stacking them by color. And as you stacked them by color, you were killing bugs. And as you killed the bugs, you moved levels. Once you killed all the bugs on that level, you moved to the next level, and there were even more bugs to kill. And she was the best at it. Nobody was better than her. She also did, I don't know if it was Mercury Meltdown or some kind of marble game. She was the best. She could move that thing through level after level without dropping it into the abyss. Like I said, I don't remember if it was Mercury Meltdown or if it was a marble game, but it was something on the Nintendo anyway. She was awesome at it. The game that I was the best at was the Three Stooges game. I would come home from school every day in junior high school, put the Three Stooges game in, and we'd be throwing pies across the table. It was hilarious. It was so much fun. I'm sure there was more to it than the pies across the table, but that's what I remember. I'm trying to think. She just was good at just about everything she touched. She could fix a car where my father would be frustrated, throwing tools and swearing. She could fix it. My mother put together a lawnmower. My mother put together, as I said before, my swing set. She put together my dome jungle gym, which was a whole bunch of these little round pieces and all the little bars that hooked to them. And just, that had to be the most monotonous thing in the world. She did it. As a matter of fact, my Aunt Edie's now stepson, he wasn't at that time, came in the next day and helped my mother wrap up the lawnmower because they were fighting over it. Because my father would frustrate easily and give up on projects because he couldn't do them. Because he's a man. And what I mean by that is women think differently than men do. A perfect example of this, and I've probably told this story before, we got a new couch. This couch up at the top had these two wooden pieces up at the top, as well as having arms. And my uncle and my father fought and tried. Fought with that thing some more and tried. And said, it can't be done. And they went to run some errands. I don't know if they went to get food or what they went to do. They went to run some errands. And my mother, my Auntie Holly and I all looked at each other, and my mother said, you know we can get this in here, right? And Auntie said, of course we can. We're women. The three of us got it in there. Put it exactly on the wall Mom wanted it on. Dad and Uncle came home and went, how the hell did you do that? Because we're women. We think differently than you do. So yeah. And yeah, you can hate on me if you want to, but the fact of the matter is men and women think differently because we use different sides of our brain differently. That's why women are better with communication type tasks, language, English class. That's why women are better at, let me reword this, at language, at, parts of speech, that sort of area, whereas men are better at math, because men are better in the abstract. Women are better in the see it, know it, physically can handle it. If you can physically handle something in your hands, then it's something we can do. That's just a fact of life, a fact of the genders, because of the way our brains are wired. So, that's why it was always nice to have the one female perspective on Mythbusters, because of the way our brains are wired. And my mother, like I said, was amazing at that stuff. Everybody brought their VCRs to her. She would take the top off, she would clean it, put the top back on, put the screws back in, put a tape in. It was as good as new. Somebody got a tape caught in their VCR, she'd take the top off, carefully undo the tape best she could, roll the tape back in the tape. No promises it was going to work because it's chewed up. Clean the VCR, that's usually the problem. Put it back together, good as new. That's what she did. Your TV hit by lightning, no problem. Bring it to Ella. Sit in the middle of the kitchen floor. She takes her hairdryer. She takes her magnetic wand that they used to use when they used to have, instead of daubers, they had these little red markers that they would use that had metal around the outside, or like a translucent red, and had metal around the outside. And they would use that to pick them up. There was a bingo wand. She would take her old trusty hairdryer, take the bingo wand, take it to the center, pull, your TV's fixed. The TV repairman taught her that when she brought the TV in because it had been struck again. He said, let me show you something. It's easy. She did say to me, she said, I'm not sure that would work with the TVs that we have today, because they're they're not plasma anymore, but they're still what's called LCD, or liquid crystal display, or LED, light emitting diode. So because they're different and they're not a tube TV, probably it wouldn't work on these TVs, because there's no tubes, and it worked because it pulled it out of the tubes and saved the tube. That was the point. So yeah, today's TVs would be toast. Unless there's some kind of trick like that for today's TVs, but I don't know, because I would think being LCD or liquid crystal display, that it would just bounce all around the liquid in there and just fry the TV all to kingdom come. And an LED, or a bunch of little LED light bulbs, more or less, and you're going to fry those light bulbs. So even if you can get part of it to come back. She also fixed another TV. It had been struck, and it had a little bit of a green corner, to it. And Stephanie, hold on. As you heard, that was Stephanie. She's gonna bring me beef stew. Yum. Anyway, so now that this chicken is done, I don't have to worry about standing and stirring that pasta. I can wait on that. Get all the chicken off the bone, put it in a bowl, and make the pasta tomorrow or later. You know, it's only 4:30 now, and she's going to come at probably a little after 5 when her husband gets home. So, yeah, delicious. Looking forward to that. She's so nice. That's the kind of person my mother was. More than willing to help others. And that's how I was raised. I remember an elderly lady struggling to get her stuff in her trunk, and my father stopping as we were pushing our cart back to our car at the grocery store and helping the lady and making sure the lady had someone at home that could help her get it out. And he got in the car and we drove off. I still remember driving by McDonald's on the highway and seeing an elderly woman digging in the trash for food. I just started sobbing. And my parents were like, "What's wrong?" And I told them. And they said, "Well, if you'd told us when we were right there, as soon as you saw it, we would have pulled in and we would have bought that poor woman a meal." And I know they would have. They said, "We can't turn around now. We're in the middle of the highway. But if you'd told us that you saw that, when you saw that, we would have immediately pulled in and bought her a meal." And I know they would have. But they knew they raised a good kid when I sat there and sobbed about that. You know? They knew that they were raising me right. At least I hope they knew that. Because I would do that. I have offered when I've had extra cash on me and seen someone needed something or something. I have offered. You know? Do you need something to drink? Do you need something to eat? You know? Because it's the right thing to do. Like I said, that's what my parents taught me. And I remember when I was a kid, I would climb under my mother's bed and get her Discovery magazines and her Omni magazines. She loved reading science magazines. And I would sit there on the edge of her bed, lay there on my belly on the edge of her bed, or crawl up on her bed with the magazines and read them. And I loved it. And she loved that I read them. And I would go in her closet and I would find her true crime magazines. You know, she had Helter Skelter in there. She had In Cold Blood. She had Small Sacrifices, which was the first one I ever read. The Stranger Beside Me. I couldn't read Helter Skelter. I couldn't do it. I could barely watch the freaking movie. Just scared the crap out of me. My parents had to explain to me that they were in California, they were all in jail at this point, and that they killed super rich people. Not that it was okay, it just was their victim of choice. And so, my mother got me into true crime. She would read love story magazines and True Confessions magazines, and we found out that one of her favorite writers in the True Detective magazines was actually a pseudonym for her favorite true crime author, Anne Rule. Because when I told her the name, because Anne Rule wrote about it on her website before she passed away, when I told my mother the name that she wrote under in the True Detective magazines, my mother went, "Are you kidding me? That was my favorite writer in those magazines. That was Anne Rule? No wonder I like her so much." And I got the autograph to Angie and her mom. I told her, I said, "I'm a second generation, reader of yours." And it's horrible to me that she passed away. Her daughter's a writer, although not true crime. Anne Rule was a policewoman. When she was first writing in the True Detective magazines. I think she was still a policewoman. It was a combination of that and being a woman in the time frame that she was writing for that made her use a male pseudonym. And then when she started writing her own books, she started using her own name. So, my mother loved her. She loved Danielle Steele. I just wasn't into that. I guess Danielle Steele was more, she was mysteries. Mysteries. I was going to say historical, but she was mysteries. V.C. Andrews, we always had her books lying around. So when Lifetime Network made Flowers in the Attic, the movie, I watched it. Oh, it was awesome. Then they made the other two parts of it, Petals on the Wind, and I can't remember the third one. Mom and I watched those together. It was so cool. I want to find the V.C. Andrews books. I actually should ask Downtown if they have any. But I think another place to look would be at the Blessing Barns bookstore side, because it's a used bookstore over there. So I definitely want to go there at some point, to the bookstore side, and check it out. I'm all about reading. I never thought I'd be able to read on my tablet, but I can. My mother couldn't get the hang of the idea of not having a book in her hand, and her eyes weren't very good at the end. So, oh, another thing that my mother read was all of the Perry Mason books. Plus, we would watch Perry Mason. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this vlog because I want to make another video. For the other channel, talking about some opinions that I have on a case. So I want to go make sure that that case is actually on my site, which I'm pretty sure it is, and I'm going to make a video because I have some opinions based on some things that I've just heard. So I will end this vlog, and I will say I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. Please subscribe. I would so appreciate it. I am going to watch Backlash at some point. I don't know if it's going to be today. Probably not. It's too late. Tomorrow. And I'll do a review of it after that. Because I missed it. And that'll get me all caught up on my reviews. So that's my plan. Like I said, please subscribe. We're trying to get to 100 by August 4th. Love you guys. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.